More so about what will happen next, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, the coming year, 5, 10 years from now. This lifelong curiosity has no end. At any given moment in time, our world Today, the The differences are staggering. In our daily life, we are assisted by apps that do not just predict the weather, but also alarm us on bad traffic ahead, as well as keep us updated on so many other things that we've become ever so reliant on them. These predictions have become a big part of our lives. Nevertheless, all these come with a purpose: to help us prepare and plan. We have found that the future is at great odds of becoming a continuation of the past, and we've evolved to leave the beaten track. Despite a tantalizing future projection, there are quite possibly other futures too. Today, we have the methodologies and tools to help us explore not only one future, but multiple futures to cope with the rise in global uncertainty. Established as a study that analyzes, conceptualizes, and explores the dynamics shaping these multiple futures, future thinking creates space for learning to decide on both likely and unlikely futures. Essentially, Foresight as a box of tools helps us avoid linear processes that commit us to a single course of action that may be the wrong one. How? At the heart of Foresight, engagement is pivotal. After all, the future is something that we share together. Now, we are taking a structured approach to help us understand anticipated impact of today's decisions and actions. Foresight embracing 10 to 20 years time horizons. It looks into the future by taking into account future trends and issues to anticipate future changes and build options out of plausible future scenarios. Foresight is used to facilitate the following: recognition of future opportunities, barriers, and risks, long-term development and critical thinking, participatory engagement, future-related policy intervention and creation. Let's form a fitting analogy as a guide. Take a look at this man. A male in his 40s, in his prime. A married man, working and healthy. But how would his future turn out? By reassembling plausible futures through a creative exploration, he separates certain and uncertain drivers, consults the right stakeholders, analyzes available data and supporting information. And from here forward, any decisions will be made around the shape and size of a future vision to help him realize his desired future. Where is the next tipping point? How are we going to reach these destinations? Foresight answers all of your questions with a robust plan and an intuition about what lies ahead, all in the service of being much more effective to support what we are going to do and which path we are going to take. So what do you think about futures now?
Alright. Sorry everyone for the technical difficulties. There seems to be some issues at the back here, but as you all know, technology can always help us. And at the same time, technology can also be an interesting hurdle and a problem for you. Yes, we have anticipated and foresighted that technology could be a problem, and I have 5 people working behind the scenes solving this issue. So I hope you're back online. All is good right now. I've gotten a thumbs up. Great, everybody. So, the question that I asked earlier was, if you still remember, what is the world of tomorrow? Now, tomorrow's world is actually developed through foresighting, projections, forecasts, looking at trends, and what does it tell us about the world of tomorrow. Now, the third question I have for you today is, as a 12-year-old, or maybe you're a parent watching in, do you think that tomorrow's world will be the same as today? Yes? No? Now, it is actually a mix of both. Yes, why? Because there will be still humans on Earth, but much more. How much more, you ask? Today, we have 7.7 billion people living in this planet called Earth. Now, in the next 5 years, or probably 7 years, we're looking at 8.5 billion people. Okay, that's a big amount of humans on this planet. Now, the growth of human population will be unprecedented. Why do we say that? It will actually literally be an explosion of humans. In the last 200,000 years, we only saw the growth of 1 billion humans. Within 200 years, we actually saw the growth into 6 billion, making it 7 billion humans. And in just 10 years, moving towards 2030, we will actually see an increase of another 1 billion people. You will see more juniors in your school. Don't bully them here. Alright? And you will also have more friends when you go out in the world. Right? With this number of humans that is around in the world now, what will happen? We will need more water. How much more water do you say? 40% demand for water will actually exceed supply. Where will we then find the water that we need? We will also need more food. Well, we love our food. We Malaysians love our food, right? I do miss a lot of the food in Sabah. I do agree. So I look forward to visiting the next time I'm there. I will love to go back to have some mee kolok and what's not. Okay? Alright. So there will also be a 60% increase in food required. What else we need is more energy. Today, your laptops, your TV, your handphones, all this require electricity. And this is actually generated and derived from coal. But in the future, it could be from renewable energy sources. Even now, there are already solar photovoltaic cells that are producing renewable energy. It could be from natural gas. It could be from thermal energy. So we're looking forward to a cleaner and brighter future. Now, unfortunately, the world will also become hotter. How hot, you ask? There is an expected increase of 1.5 degrees in temperature. You might think that 1.5 degrees is quite small. But to think about it, can you imagine yourself at 8 in the morning versus 2 in the afternoon? That is what 1.5 degrees of difference could feel like. And that is quite hot indeed, isn't it? Now, we will also become older. Probably, yes, you won't be as old as me. Okay? But your parents will become older. Over 1.4 billion of humans will be aged 60 and above in just 7 years. Now, we will also have less workers. We will see a decline in working population for Malaysia, about 1.4%. So, we have to work smarter, work harder, and work with robots. That could be the future. Now, the world of tomorrow, when you answered no, is different. Yes, it's also true. It'll be also different because the passing of time will always bring about change. New things will come up. Things will shift. Things will also be discontinued and you no longer see them. Now, you might wonder what things have changed and what things have discontinued. Let me give you an example. Things that are no longer the same. Firstly, remember this? I don't know if you were actually old enough to use that Kodak film where you had to pull out a negative from a camera and make sure that no exposure to light happened. Today, I'm very sure you know what's the logo on the right though. Instagram, right? I'm sure all of you use, or probably you say, nah, Instagram is too old, I use TikTok. Maybe, okay? Now, what else has changed? Previously, we had pen pals. If I had a friend in Sabah, I would be writing through a postcard or even a letter. Today, we have email, we have SMS, we have WhatsApp, we have Telegram, and Facebook, all this, right? Now, this was how we used to get our music, from a Walkman cassette. At that point in time, having a Walkman and carrying it around, walking around, was considered a luxury for a lot of kids. But today, what do we have? We have our earbuds, we walk around listening to Spotify, YouTube music, and everything else. Now, there used to be this big black disc. It's called a VCR. Some of you, I'm very sure, have not seen this before. What you have now, of course, it's streaming channels such as Netflix. So these are things that have discontinued, you see. Now, even if you want to call a taxi, you no longer call Yellow Cab, you call Grab. And it's now a super app, including your e-wallet. So things have evolved in this case. And for those who love using WhatsApp, I love using WhatsApp, right? I'm a generation that comes out messaging people rather than calling. Before WhatsApp, there's such thing called a telegram. You actually had to send your information by tapping against this machine and it will come out in Morse codes. So very difficult to use, very interesting. If you can still find it in a museum, probably that's where it is. So you can see that the future and the past is not necessarily the same, right? So my question to you now is, what's next for you? Now, work in the past, today and the future. Why are we touching on work? Because I assume after this you'll be studying and you will come out in the arena of working. Come join me at working here if you're interested, right? Now, when we were working in the prehistoric area during the caveman times, where people were wearing loincloth and leaves, it was very much hunter-gatherer. We hunted for our food. It's about survival of the fittest. Face a lion, face a wild boar, and that is your dinner for the night, right? Now, work 2.0 has then changed through the first industrial revolution. It was very labor intensive. We worked from morning to the afternoons, back-breaking work, from mining, construction, textile, agriculture. Education at that point in time was only for the rich. So mind you, if you were poor, you didn't get to study at all in school. Now, however, things have changed. In the 19th and 20th century, what happened was the second and third industrial revolution. Mechanization came in, steam power came in. We had routine assembly and a lot of factories. It started creating more money and generating income for nations. And because of that, we could have mass education. Everyone could study. Mass-produced skills and also higher education levels. Now, today, where we are is work 4.0. Now, what is work 4.0? You've also often heard the fourth industrial revolution. Yes, we might not be able to see the fourth industrial revolution in your face, but it's actually working behind the scenes. For example, let's put it this way. Today, I'm not in Sabah, but I'm actually in Selangor at the moment, in my office, and my message is being carried out through digitalization. And that is where the cyber-physical world has converged. Right? Interesting. Now, you could also have friends from UK, from US, or even if you're playing Dota or Tekken, you have all those communication things that communication tools that enable you to talk to your friends in a completely different country, right? Now, in terms of working, we also see a lot of automation of labor-intensive jobs and knowledge work. That's why we need our education kids. We need to study, we need to use our knowledge and bring ourselves to a higher attainment of education. Of course, today we also see a lot of gig economy workers, talking about freelancing, talking about Grab drivers, talking about YouTube for influencers. All these are new work jobs that we don't see, and we will be touching on them in a short while. Now, in Work 4.0, we see a lot of lifelong learning. What do you mean by that? Do I have to take an exam every year until I'm 80 years old? No, it's not. What lifelong learning is about you studying just in time for the information that you need for the work that you're doing at that point in time. For example, I was reading about future of work in terms of cartoons. Okay, what is the cartoon of the day for now? Previously I had Simpsons, I had Futurama. Today you have Upin Ipin, you have SpongeBob SquarePants, you have a lot of other cartoons that I've never heard before, interestingly enough. Now, therefore, today what you see is a buffet of education. So many options for you to choose. What you also see in the future, now this is a question mark, because no one can correctly predict the future, but this is some things that we can see. We will see probably the 5th Industrial Revolution. Some people even call it Society 6.0. It could be the metaverse, where all of us are no longer living in a physical world, but we also live in an alternate reality, where you and I have an avatar that discusses about things online, as a hologram, as a virtual world. Anyone watch Ready Player One? That's the one. Now, so the future is very much still a blank canvas. There are some signals that we can see about the future of work. So how will you respond to that? Now, the 5th question that we have today is, why do we work? Why do humans work? Why do your parents work? Or you in the future actually? Some people might say, for family, to buy a home, to put food on the table, to care for your elderly parents who need medical attention. Some even go to work because they want friends, because you're all like-minded here. I have a lot of friends in this room right now. I wish you could meet them next time probably. It's also a way for us to create things, new ideas, bring out our best side of our knowledge. Okay, you might want to travel, therefore you need the money. You also maybe I'm a pet lover, so I do work to make sure that my pets have a good life. Okay, right. So next question I have for you is, how has the way we work changed? It's very different, right? Let me show you. Previously, when we needed food, what we did, remember our forefathers, we had to go out and hunt for food, right? A spear, a knife, a steel dagger, and they carried it home. Okay. Now today, what we do, take out our phone, order from Grab, order from Foodpanda. That's what you get today, and that's how you get your food. Of course, some of you are even luckier, your mother cooks and the food is already on the table. Be thankful, say thank you, yeah? Alright. Now, of course, there's also agriculture, right? Some of you might be from the farming states, okay? Previously, agriculture was basically we needed our best friends, animals to help us plow the field. Today, we have technology to help us. And previously, when we talk about mining, we were all covered in soot, dirt. It was a very dangerous job. And now today's mining is actually servers, where you mine cryptocurrency and you have all these servers in your house running on high electricity, right? Previously, if you talk about manufacturing lines, assembly, it's about 10 people working on one single product, which could be a car here. Now, today, when you look at a factory floor, you don't even see a single human. Where are the humans, you ask? It's all behind the scenes, covering these technologies, looking at all these sensors and seeing what is needed and only intervening when it is needed. And that, my friend, is the rise of robots. Now, the 7th question I have for you is then, what could be the future of work? The future of work, on how we see it at MITE, is about how the work is done, who does the work, which is the workforce, and also the workplace. When and where is work done? Now, when you talk about work tools today, you don't just work with just your hands, but you work with probably artificial intelligence. You work with automation. You work with robotics. It could be also other things that you work with. And that's something new that we see right now. The other things that we also look is the workforce. How has it been changed? Who does the work at the moment? It could be full-time employees, part-time employees. It could even be crowdsourcing. There is even websites that gather information from everybody who is not even on the payroll, but contributing ideas. I give you an example, Wikipedia. No one that contributes to Wikipedia is being paid, but the information in Wikipedia is accessed by billions of people in the world. Now, we also see gig workers, as we mentioned earlier. And in terms of workplace, we see that a lot of work from anywhere. Okay, remote workers happening, because of COVID-19, a lot of us couldn't go to office, and we actually had to work from home. And now we see that trend is actually continuing. Most people prefer to work from home or work from anywhere, making it easier to actually commute and reduce the burden on traveling now. We also look at co-located workplace, where, for example, we could have satellite offices. You don't have to go to the main office, but actually work together in small offices or small shared spaces. Now, we also have fluid work schedules, right? Sometimes the way we do work is very much on the, how do you say this? When you get the idea, the inspiration to approach something. So work schedules have now changed to include work-life balances in this sense. Now, so how we see is the work of the future will be more flexible, agile, networked, and connected. So you have to be all this in the future. The workplace of the future itself also is no longer where, but what we carry. You know, the distinction between our work lives and personal lives has also blurred. You know, you have to work from your home, you have to work from your room. That could be something that you see right now. Okay, and of course the workforce of the future. You are the workforce of the future. When you grow up further on, you have to be a person who are able to recreate yourself and your capabilities. Now, why do we have to say you have to recreate yourself? Because at the end of the day, you have a social capital, psychological capital, intellectual capital, spiritual capital, skill capital, and entrepreneurial capital. But all this will be mixed and merged for the work that you face in the future to make you successful. Now, just for example, I just want to share with something. 10 years ago, these are jobs that didn't exist. You know, TikTok marketer, social media influencer, Grab driver, driverless car engineer, cloud computing specialist, data scientist, telemedicine physician, esports game coaches. How many of you wants to be an esports player? That's where the money is right at the moment right now, right? Okay. Drone operators, millennial generation expert. During my schooling years, this did not exist. There was no YouTube, there was no TikTok, so it's completely different. So if I wanted to be a TikTok marketer today, you know, I have to recreate myself. I have to change my capital in terms of my capabilities and my skills. And I know and I'm confident that we are able to recreate ourselves because humans are the most adaptable species on the planet. Now, so then you ask yourself, when I come up from work to work in the next 10 years, what jobs might exist? Now, this is not 100% certainty that these are the jobs that will exist because, like I said earlier, we can sort of project the future, predict the futures, and anticipate the futures, but it's never just a single future. It could be multiple possibilities. So some possibilities could be a metaverse research scientist. You could be a world builder in terms of colonizing space or even colonizing the virtual world. An XR immersion counselor. You know, people will then find you in terms of how you're going to find this augmented reality. You could be a smart home design manager, an AI algorithm ethicist, a data detective, a cyber calamity forecaster. We used to have weather forecasters, now we have cyber calamity forecasters. Human machine teaming manager, tide water architect. I think this is especially important, especially in the coastal areas of Sabah, because as climate change happens and seawater rises, we need to make sure that our coastal areas are safe from the rising sea waters. Now, you could be an AI strategist or a deep learning training manager. Some interesting jobs, anything that interests you, you know, start planning then if you're interested in becoming any of these jobs. Now, besides jobs, as I mentioned earlier, what do you need? You need skills. Now, every year, the World Economic Forum will actually produce these top 10 skills of the future. Now, in 2020, it actually produced, in 2020, it produced the top 10 skills of 2025. In here, we looked at a lot of analytical, critical, innovation, all these thinking skills that no artificial intelligence can yet supersede humans. So yes, human learning is still above machine learning at this point in time. But moving towards the future, when machine learning has overtaken human learning, where does then human plays its role? Where do we then make sure that we are more creative and innovative to be able to think beyond an AI? Also, one more interesting thing that you will say is that, you know, today if you're listening in and you are in primary school, 65% of you, means for example 6 out of 10 of you will be actually having jobs that do not yet exist. So just now I mentioned about the 10 jobs that might exist, right? So there are 10 jobs, there are 6 jobs that I do not even know the names yet. It's not even here today yet. And that 6 jobs will be employing 6 of you today, right? Now, we also see a lot of shrinking lifespan of skills. Now, if any parents are watching, if any grandparents are watching, my parents, when they came into the workforce, they didn't have to learn digital technology until they were almost about to retire. That was about 26 years working. But today, if you are working today, you actually have to learn and relearn your skills every 5 years. And if it's a technical skill, it's actually 2.5 years. It could be one programming language today, 2.5 years later, it could be a different programming language. So, if you love to learn, if you love to challenge yourself, if you're inquisitive about what could be different and always making yourself better, go for it. Because skills and the willingness to learn will be the key element for you to succeed in the future of skills. Now, the 8th question that I have for you today is, so how can Foresight prepare you for the future? I mean, you've listened about the future, you've listened about Foresight, so what is it actually, right? How will Foresight actually help you, right? So, Foresight is about imagining. It will help you to imagine. And as children, I love it when I sit down with my friends' children, young generation. They have bountiful of imagination. They can imagine anything, and that is what will make the next innovation of the 22nd century. Let's take for example, I don't know if you even know this cartoon. I grew up watching this cartoon, by the way. This is Inspector Gadget. If parents are watching in, please share with your child Inspector Gadget. It's always a very nice cartoon, right? In 1999, Inspector Gadget actually had this smartwatch, right, where they had a video call with the dog, and with his niece, right? And only in 2014 was the first Apple Watch produced for the mass market. So it took 5 years, but that's about imagination. Imagining things that have not happened yet and making it into reality. What else you say? Anybody knows Japanese anime? Dragon Ball, right? And Dragon Ball, when they had this lens where all the information about the fighter, their stat skills, their health skills. And in 2014, Google Glass had that. You could actually project your phone, your information on it, and it helps you work on this. Now, in 1962, I was not born yet also, but this is one of the classic cartoons, The Jetsons. The Jetsons was about the future, about how people were had flying cars, lived in a futuristic world. And just for information, The Jetsons was actually projecting to 2062, right? So it's still quite far ahead, but probably we will have flying cars then. But today we already have prototypes of flying cars. So there is one being for sale. It's still under prototyping, but it is available in flying cars in a sense, right? Now, anybody knows Futurama? Futurama was talking about people being transported in vacuum tubes. If you look at it, it's actually Hyperloop, right? So if you're familiar with Hyperloop, I'm very sure a lot of you are familiar with Elon Musk or Virgin Technologies. So they have come out with these Hyperloop trains, Hyperloop shuttles that are able to transport people at a much faster speed. So imagine going from Sabah to Sarawak within just 2 hours. Interesting, right? Now, besides imagining, Foresight also helps you to anticipate. Now, the power of anticipating is about understanding the future of multiple ecosystems. Now, it could be the future of work, the skills, education, energy, mobility. It could be about Sabah, it could be about Malaysia, the world. It could be about society, climate, environment, entertainment, living, anything, even future of yourself. What is the future for you? And when you anticipate your future, you are then able to plan. By planning, that is what Foresight helps you the most. It is actually the best way to predict the future is to create it. When you anticipate all the trends that will happen, imagining the best case scenario for yourself or the preferred future. Do you want to be an astronaut Do you want to be an e-game sports ambassador? You will then start to think, you will analyze, you will plan, you will try, and you will look at yourself, and are you on that path to achieving that preferred scenario or preferred future? Now, if you are, and that's what you do, that is how Foresight helps you in planning your future. So kids, parents, do Foresight, okay? Conducting a Foresight exercise is something that you do daily. You might not know that it is actually called Foresight because it's something that you are already ingrained. It's about planning for your future. But if you want to know more, do reach out to us, because what we believe in Might and My Foresight is actually to prepare our future generations, to prepare ourselves today for tomorrow. Now, before I leave, let me end with this. To prepare our future generations for jobs that have yet to exist, the key is to liberate their minds. Let them imagine. Let them be creative. Let them be innovative. Do not confine them to a box. You want them to think out of the box, because the empires of the future are the empires of the mind. Thank you very much for spending the last 1 hour with us. If you're interested to know more, we have our website, might.org.my, myforesight.my, or you can reach us out through Facebook, Might and My Foresight, or you can actually just drop me an email, shuying@might.org.my. I look forward to at least having some of you reaching out to me and talking to me. Thank you so much for your attention today.
Thank you.